What's up, party animals? Manny Lower here with another Study Minute presented by Fantasy Cruncher. As always, I got three topics for you. First, a three-way tie for the 50K in the Showdown tournament. Finally, I get to talk about some winners. I'll have the tallies coming up. Topic number 2, NFL tip number 5, and the last one of the week deals with ownership in NFL, how I use it, how I implement it, and how I make my lineups using ownership getting different to be up there in the Millie Maker. I'll show you how. And topic number 3, utility at pitcher on Showdown. Or using a pitcher at utility, more a reliever, how viable that is, why it won the 50K, and should you be using it. All that and more on the Study Minute, baby. Let's go. The 50th episode of the Study Minute. Finally live. First of all, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all of you who keep listening. On our way to 50,000 downloads on this podcast in just 50 episodes. I want to say thank you. First of all, that's an incredible feat. You guys keep listening. I keep producing. We keep having a lot of fun. So thank you for that. Most importantly, I'll get to the stuff. I'll get to the things, the stuff, the topics you guys want to talk about. First of all, three-way tie for 50K in Showdown. I don't care if it's 50. I don't care if it's 25. I don't care if it's $10,000. It was 50. There was a three-way tie, and I'm happy to talk about it. It was just happy to see baseball back, and it sounds so degenerate when there's 3 days off, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And now Thursday, I'm thanking the world for having baseball back in my life. Yeah, it's the life of a gambler. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'll take it to a three-way tie, 113.47. 3 people had this lineup: Sonks, Black Jays, and JD Wars. Right? If you see it here, it was actually not the same lineup that tied. Right? So. Asdrubal and the Shields were the main parts here. So Sonks and JD Wars did have the same lineup. Black Jays had Andrews and Gallo as the 2 different guys, right? They scored 5 and 9 respectively. Asdrubal scored 5. The Shields scored 7. The difference between those guys were, it wasn't really Gallo. It was the Shields and Asdrubal, right? The other one had Andrews and Mathis as the 2 guys. Both scored 5-7. JD Wars and Sonks also scored 5-7 from those 2 guys. They split not just the 50K up top. The terrible payout structure has us splitting second 15K, third 5K. All in all, they all 3 of them split $70,000 into 3. It isn't that good of a prize, especially when there's 15,000 people trying to play a Showdown tournament. BT Dubs, it overlaid. Barely, but it overlaid. Shows where DFS MLB is right now. Anyway, we get MLB back for Friday. It's a full, I think, 14 or 15 game slate. I think the Cubs are the only early game. And we get exactly what we want, baby. We get exactly what we want. We get some MLB, a full slate right in the thick of things, and we can get back on track. We can get back on track, and that's exactly what I wanted. Congratulations to Sonks, Black Jays, and JD Wars. You win what I think is an impossible tournament to win. It also sucks that Lance Lynn was the captain. If you faded, Rip City, fellers. You weren't there. You didn't win. You couldn't make it happen. But I strongly urge you to continue being as contrarian as possible. Trust me, it works. Lance Lynn at 50% owned as your captain, you can only do so much with that. Topic number 2, and finally, the last tip of the week. The last NFL tip of the week. Tip number 5. This one deals with ownership. Kind of hard for me to show you, right? Because I don't have, I do have, I'd say, one little secret that I can show you, but just going over the NFL lineups, it's very similar to what I've been teaching on my Twitch streams when it comes to MLB, right? It's if you have a contrarian stack, you want the unique fillers. If you have a unique stack and a different stack, you want the contrarian fillers. And I do the same thing in NFL. It actually started with NFL, right? So let's say you are doing a game stack of some sort, and that game stack requires 4, maybe 5 players. The last 2 or 3 players that you have in there, depending on what your game stack is, has to be either way different or I'd say way with the field. I'll explain to you what that does. And this is more of an explainer one. I don't really have much to show, as there isn't much to show outside of you just making the lineups the way they are. I have Drew Brees, I have Michael Thomas, I have Alvin Kamara. They played Tampa Bay, and I have Mike Evans coming back from the other side. And that's all a really popular game. I cannot think that I'd continue having, the most popular players as my fillers and think that I'm going to get to the top of a milli maker, right? There's 300,000 entries. There's a lot of entries. Be different. You can still stack that game. Just make sure your fillers are like a Kenyon Drake from the Dolphins. I don't know, Aaron Jones from the Packers, and if you need a receiver, whoever it is. But you have to be way different when your lineup is that chalky. As your lineup gets less and less chalky, your fillers get less and less contrarian, right? And it becomes a balance, if you will, to where if they're right in the middle, your fillers will also be right in the middle as far as ownership is concerned. And treat it like a balance of some sort. Try to keep a balance at all times. And that's the best I can give you, because it really is my edge. I want to show you exactly to the T how I do it. I do it on Twitch streams. Go over to twitch.tv/mlora. I'll show you the best I can. But when I tell you that this is the edge I feel like I've found in not just NFL, but now MLB, I'm not kidding. I will tell you the truth. You don't pay me anything to listen to this podcast. I am giving you the goods. I promise. Topic number 3, and if we go to the tournament winners, a weird strategy I didn't discuss when we talked about Showdown, right? Go to the Showdown, go to these lineups. Cy Snead at 0.3% owned, who pitched 5 innings. Timeout. What kind of accident was this? 19 fantasy points from Cy Snead. I don't know what accident, what optimizer you came from, what projections you are making, but you're a liar. Or you guessed, either one. You picked Lance Lynn as Drupal, DeShields, Gallo, Odor. You wanted a stack, and then you wanted a one-off Houston Astros reliever? I don't know about that, man. To me, that is the biggest luck box ever. If you're trying to learn something from the Showdown, you don't learn a 20-point outing from a reliever that pitched 5 innings and had 7 strikeouts. I think that's fraudulent. I don't know, man. I know I'm going to get these messages. I know I'm going to get the DMs. Manny, is using relievers a thing now in Showdown? And I've seen it before where people want to play it on 3, 4, 5 game slates. You want to play relievers? Stop the nonsense, man. That's just nonsense. You don't play these guys. You can't even predict them. You're going to pick them. They're not going to pitch in the game, and you're going to get a 0. Just stop it. 3 guys, I'd say, got pretty darn lucky, used the same projections or optimizers or whatever, and made their 50K. Do not do this. I'd never tell you to do this. So before you ask, let them get lucky, be better in the rest of the Showdown slates, and over the long term, be a profitable player. That's it. That'll do it for the week. All 5 tips, all 5 NFL beginner tips for you guys, absolutely free on this podcast. If you want to watch on YouTube, you can. Just search for the Study Minute channel. I had a blast, and I'd love it if you could rate, like, and subscribe. If you can't, if your fingers are incapable, all I ask is that you come back on Monday and we do it all over again. Thank you for hanging out.